A slap heard across the stars. The Galactic Council chamber was an architectural marvel, a ringed arena of hovering seats, shimmering light panels, and a ceiling that displayed a living map of the known universe. Representatives of over 100 species sat in their floating pods, voices chattering in dozens of dialects. Tensions were high. At the heart of the chamber, on the central speaking platform, stood General Carvax of the Thalrexian Empire, his dark emerald scales shimmering with every arrogant word he spat. 8 feet tall, draped in the ceremonial armor of his warrior caste, Carvax embodied the brutality and pride of his empire. "The humans overstep," he snarled, slamming a clawed hand against the railing. "They expand into neutral space without sanction. Their species is reckless, primitive." A ripple of murmurs followed. Most species in the council had grown used to Thalrexian dominance, used to nodding along to their threats. From a smaller, less conspicuous podium, a human delegation sat in silence. Among them, Elia Strayhorn, a girl who looked no older than 20, adjusted the data slate in her lap. Dressed modestly, with short dark hair and composed eyes, she gave the appearance of an aide or assistant. Not worth noting. Carvax continued, "I propose the enforcement of boundary sanctions. They are to withdraw from Proxima, 7, and the adjacent moons, effective immediately." "That's incorrect," Elias said. Her voice was soft, yet clear, cutting through the noise. Carvax stopped mid-sentence. Elia rose slowly, holding up the slate. "The Treaty of Elian III, ratified by this council, recognized those territories as unclaimed. Earth settlement, there's fully legal. The Thalrexian annexation came afterward." Silence. Carvax's eyes narrowed. The chamber waited. "You dare interrupt me?" he growled. "I corrected an error," Elias said. "For the record." In one sudden motion, Carvax leapt from his platform, landing beside her with a ground-shaking thud. Before anyone could intervene, his open hand struck her across the face. Gasps erupted across the chamber. Elia staggered back 2 steps, but remained upright. Her cheek reddened from the blow, but she neither cried out nor retaliated. Instead, she turned her head slowly, facing Carvax with an unreadable expression. "You overstep, ape," Carvax sneered. "Stay in your place." The room fell into a heavy silence. Delegates exchanged uneasy glances. A few Thalrexian allies looked away, uncomfortable, but the humans remained still. No outburst, no retaliation, just stillness. From the upper rows, a being with piercing gray eyes slowly stood. He wore a simple black suit with the Earth insignia on his shoulder, a stylized blue-green planet with a laurel. His name was Ambassador Strayhorn. He looked not at Carvax, but at the Council's High Arbiter. "Are we to assume," Strayhorn said, his voice low but resonant, "that this chamber now allows physical assault on accredited diplomatic personnel?" The Arbiter, a crystalline life form known as Zinthari Prime, stiffened. "Certainly not. Violence in the Council is strictly forbidden. The consequence? She is no diplomat." Carvax shouted. "She is a child, an underling. You should have read the diplomatic register more carefully," Strayhorn said. A flicker of panic touched Carvax's face. He turned to the Council's databanks, gesturing furiously. A hovering droid beeped and projected Elia's clearance. Her full title scrolled into the air. Elia Strayhorn, Royal Delegate of the Terran Unity Accord, Acting Deputy Representative of Earth, holder of diplomatic immunity, and blood daughter to the Earth Chancellor. The Council chamber erupted. Voices shouted over one another in every language. Carvax took a step back. Elia remained standing, unfazed, her gaze locked on the general. "You struck a delegate," Ambassador Strayhorn said, voice now icy. "And the daughter of Earth's head of state. That, by galactic law, is a declaration of hostile intent." Carvax hissed. "I didn't know." "Intent is irrelevant," came the Arbiter's voice. "The law is clear." Council security began descending, flanking Carvax. His claws twitched, but he did not resist. Yet, Elia turned to her father. "Permission to speak freely?" Strayhorn nodded once. Elias stepped forward and spoke, not just to Carvax, but to the entire chamber. Let this moment be remembered. You struck me thinking I was weak, thinking I was no one. You assumed humanity would do nothing, that we'd cower. But you've just shown the galaxy the truth. We may be young, we may be new here, but we will not be dismissed. Her voice rang out, calm, controlled, measured. We came in peace, but do not mistake peace for weakness. Carvax lunged, not at her, but toward the edge of the platform, trying to escape. But before he could move, a shimmer of blue light wrapped around him, a containment field. As guards surrounded him, Aaliyah looked to the stars rotating above. She wasn't just a girl anymore. She was the spark, the girl with two names. The blast doors closed behind her with a hiss. The sound echoed through the polished corridor like the click of a trigger. Aaliyah Strayhorn stood still for a moment, her face still marked from the slap, though the swelling had already faded under a field medic's touch. She didn't speak. Not yet. Not until the walls stopped listening. Inside the diplomatic vessel Unity's reach, high above the Galactic Council's orbiting station, the human delegation gathered in the command suite. Holograms flickered to life. Tactical charts, legal codices, and incoming diplomatic messages from across the stars. Ambassador Jonas Strayhorn, her father, didn't pace. He never did. But the temperature in the room seemed to drop a few degrees as he looked at her. You all right? Yes, Elias said. He has a heavy hand, but poor judgment. A low murmur of agreement spread through the aides and officers. The mask was off now. The charade was over. The galaxy knew who she was. 2 years earlier, Aaliyah had been a top-tier graduate of the Earth Diplomatic Corps Academy, a prodigy in interstellar law, with extensive off-world language certifications and advanced tactical analysis. But her true assignment came not from the Academy, but from her bloodline. As the only daughter of Earth's Supreme Chancellor, she carried both political weight and symbolic presence. Earth's entry into the Galactic Council had been delicate. Humanity was powerful, yes. Their rapid technological growth and military innovation terrified many. But Earth's leaders knew that raw strength earned fear, not trust. So they offered something else: transparency, humility, and engagement. Aaliyah was chosen as the human face of that promise. Officially, she was an aide. Unofficially, she was a strategic observer, tasked with cataloging threats, assessing alien power blocks, and uncovering any sign of preemptive aggression, especially from the Thalrexian Empire. And now, her mission had concluded with a single strike. The slap was a gift, said Commander Malik, head of Earth's interstellar operations. He handed us everything we needed on a silver platter. Public sympathy, legal precedents, just cause, added Hallan Nor, Earth's chief legal envoy, and the backing of at least 6 minor species who've been waiting for someone to stand up to the Thalrexians. Strayhorn nodded. Prepare diplomatic communiques. Highlight the breach of the Council Accords, specifically Article 9, the protection of accredited representatives. Should we demand reparations? Nur asked. No, Elias said. The room turned to her. No, her father echoed. She stepped forward, voice cool. Demanding compensation makes us look like victims. I don't want blood money or empty words. I want consequences. What are you proposing? Aaliyah looked at the central hologram, an image of General Carvax, now detained under council guard, barely contained and furious. Earth will invoke Article 10, the right of formal challenge. Carvax faces trial, not in his empire, but before the entire council. A silence fell. No one had invoked Article 10 in decades. Trials of this nature were rare, dangerous even. They demanded open hearings, evidence, and rulings that could reshape interstellar balance. That will put us in direct opposition to the Thalrexian High Council, Nor warned. Good, Elias said. Let the galaxy watch. Meanwhile, across the stars, the Thalrexian throne world of Harvalker reeled from the news. Within the Central War Citadel, Admiral Zenth clutched the report in trembling claws. He struck who? The human Chancellor's daughter, replied the intelligence officer. In full view of the council. She was operating under full diplomatic status. The chamber erupted in curses and growls. Even among their own kind, Carvax had gone too far. Earth demands trial, the officer added, and they've already positioned a fleet at the Proxima 7 corridor. Not moving, but visible. Visible and menacing. Zenth turned to the Thalrexian High Regent. If we back him now, we risk war. If we abandon him, we lose face. He struck first, the Regent said. Let him face the consequences. Back on Earth, news of the incident spread like wildfire. Images of Aaliyah, standing tall after the blow, calm and defiant, played across every screen. Debates ignited. Commentators called her the spark of unity, the slapped lioness, humanity's turning point. But behind the noise, preparations moved quietly. Old defense systems were reactivated. Orbital shipyards increased production. Covert listening posts near Thalrexian borders went dark, or rather, deeper into silence. The Earth Space Command went to condition yellow. Because humanity had learned something long ago. In peace, prepare for war. That night, Elias stood alone in the observation deck, staring into the stars. The fleet shimmered in the distance, a line of silver fangs awaiting a command. Her father joined her, offering a cup of tea. Did you expect him to hit you? He asked. She hesitated. I expected rage. I hoped for arrogance. And now, she said, taking a sip, he gave us what we needed. The galaxy needed a reason to believe in us. He just gave them a story they won't forget. She turned toward the stars again. Her eyes were clear. One slap, she whispered, was all it took. Shock and awe. The fleet shimmered like a blade held to a throat. From the shadowed side of Jupiter's orbit, Earth's 7th Expeditionary Fleet hovered in silence. Over 30 warships, sleek, angular, dark-hulled, held position in a crescent formation. Not a single weapon was fired. Not a single message was sent. But the message was unmistakable. Humanity was awake and watching. In the heart of the Galactic Council hall, the proceedings had entered emergency session. Never before had a diplomatic incident escalated this fast. The chamber was full to capacity, even the back tiers reserved for neutral observers and minor species. General Carvax, now under council custody, stood in an energy cage on a lower platform, his posture defiant, but his eyes narrowed with the first hints of fear. The containment field hummed around him in soft pulses of blue. Counselor after counselor spoke. Debates raged across species lines. Some argued for restraint. Others, citing the Treaty of Interstellar Conduct, demanded accountability. But Earth remained silent until the final speaker was called. Elias Strayhorn rose, dressed now in formal ambassadorial robes, black, gold-threaded, the sigil of Earth blazing against her chest. She stepped to the center platform, looked once at Carvax, then turned her gaze to the galaxy's gathered powers. I stand not only as the daughter of Earth's Chancellor, she began, voice even, eyes sharp, but as a representative of our people. We did not come to this council seeking dominance. We came with curiosity, with openness, and with respect. A murmur of agreement moved through the minor delegation pods. But respect must be mutual, she continued. When one of your own strikes a diplomat, he strikes not just a person, but the peace between peoples. She paused. Let the silence stretch. General Carvax's act was not just violence. It was a declaration, and Earth has answered. She lifted her hand. A holographic window opened in the air. Live footage. The Proxima 7 corridor, the disputed zone. On screen, 6 Thalrexian border defense platforms floated silently, and then, suddenly, lights flickered across them. 3 hours ago, Elias said calmly, Earth's fleet entered Proxima space. We did not fire. We disabled. On screen, the Thalrexian platform's power cores dimmed. Gun turrets folded. Comms went silent. One by one, the military stations were shut down, not destroyed but rendered inert. Precision strikes. 0 casualties. A few gasps escaped from council members. Minimal force. Absolute control. This is our doctrine. We strike only when provoked, and only as far as necessary. Carvax snarled behind his cage, but said nothing. Elia turned again. We do not demand territory. We do not demand blood, but we demand recognition of the law and of Earth's right to defend its own. She paused one last time. We will not strike again if the Council upholds its charter. But if you choose to ignore this offense, if you choose appeasement over justice. She let the silence speak for her. Outside the council chamber, Ambassador Strayhorn stood at the edge of a secure holo-conference. Dozens of envoys, some allies, others long undecided, had joined the encrypted call. What you witnessed was a taste, Strayhorn said plainly. Earth has spent decades holding back. We hoped diplomacy would suffice. But we are not naive. We are not weak. He looked each of them in the eye, even across light years of data streams. Make no mistake, the age of Earth's silence is over, and the galaxy must now decide. Do you want us as a partner, or as a problem? None spoke, but several nodded. On the Thalrexian throne world, panic began to settle in. The High War Council was fractured. Some wanted to declare open war. Others urged immediate apology, fearing the display of Earth's power was only the beginning. But no decision came, only arguments. Then, without warning, the lights in their war chamber dimmed. Screens flickered. Encryption protocols collapsed. And a message played. Elia Strayhorn's speech, translated and transmitted directly into the heart of Thalrexian command. No weapon, no threat, just words. It was worse than an invasion. It was a humiliation. On Earth, military readiness climbed to condition orange. Reinforcements moved silently through slip-space corridors. Orbital black vaults were unlocked. Ancient relics of pre-council tech humanity had kept hidden for decades. Not because they couldn't use them, but because they'd hoped they never had to. And all across the outer colonies, humans stood a little taller. Miners on Ganymede. Settlers on Kepler 9. Children in orbiting classrooms who had watched a girl take a blow and not back down. Now, they understood. This was no longer about one slap. It was about how the stars would treat Earth for the next 1,000 years. That night, on the Unity's reach, Elia stood once again before the stars. This time, she wasn't alone. Fleet Commander Mira Voss joined her, armored and grim. "I've been ordered to stand down," Voss said. "You don't agree with that?" Elia asked. "Oh, I do," Voss said with a small smile. "But it's the first time I've ever been disappointed to not go to war." They shared a quiet laugh. Then Voss added, "You know this isn't over." Elia nodded. "I know, but now they're listening." Fire in the Court of Stars. The council verdict came 72 hours later. The chamber was silent as Zinthari Prime, the crystalline arbiter of the Galactic Council, floated to the center ring. Light pulsed through its translucent body in hues of violet and cold blue, the colors of impartial judgment. "The Galactic Council," Zinthari declared, "has reviewed the evidence, deliberated with all quorum members, and considered the legal precedents under the Charter of Interstellar Conduct. 1,000 eyes, and more than a few sensor arrays, focused on the arbiter. The fate of a general, an empire, and perhaps an era hung in the balance. By unanimous vote, the arbiter continued. General Carvax of the Thalrexian Empire is found guilty of violating Article 9, subsections B and D of the Council Charter, the unauthorized use of force against a diplomatic delegate, and unlawful disruption of interspecies proceedings." A wave of sound swept through the chamber. Accordingly, Zinthari said, he is to be stripped of rank and status, confined to an isolated penal station under council supervision for no less than 40 cycles, and barred from future interstellar appointments. Furthermore, the Thalrexian Empire is to issue a formal apology to the United Terran Systems. Carvax bellowed from within his containment cage, slamming his fists against the energy barrier. "You cave to the apes. You dishonor the old balance." But the barrier held, and the council didn't flinch. Outside the chamber, Elia Strayhorn moved through a sea of reporters, drones, and murmuring envoys. She offered no comment, no smile, no victory speech. She had won, yes, but the real war was only beginning. Her father, Ambassador Strayhorn, met her at the secure shuttle pad, his expression unreadable. "Congratulations," he said. Earth got everything it wanted. Respect, precedent, fear. Elia's face was unreadable. They won't forget this. No, he said, voice low. But neither will we. They boarded the shuttle together. Behind them, banners of the council flapped in artificial wind. Ancient symbols of unity, now newly cracked. The apology came 36 hours later, delivered with venom behind every word. Thalrexian Regent Maktar Vun appeared via official transmission. His voice oozed restraint. The Empire of Thalrex regrets the unfortunate actions of General Carvax and formally apologizes for the transgression against the Terran representative, he growled, teeth bared. We reaffirm our commitment to the peace upheld by the Galactic Council and expect equal commitment in return. It wasn't heartfelt. It wasn't warm, but it was public. Earth accepted, formally, strategically, quietly. But behind closed doors, Earth's highest circles were already drawing new maps. 3 weeks passed. The galaxy buzzed. Minor civilizations, long bullied by Thalrexian patrols or strong-armed into unfair trade treaties, began reaching out to Earth. Quietly at first. Tentative diplomatic messages. Requests for assistance. Invitations for embassies. Mentions of mutual protection. Earth's diplomatic servers processed over 2,000 contact attempts within days. A new coalition was forming, not by conquest but by choice. And it had a face, Elia Strayhorn. She returned to Earth only briefly, hailed as a hero. Crowds gathered at orbital docks. Children painted her on murals. Journalists called her the Iron Dove, but she didn't linger. Fame wasn't the mission. Her assignment was expanded. She was now the High Envoy to the Independent Worlds, a new office meant to solidify Earth's rising diplomatic network. And her next destination was clear, Virion Prime, a powerful neutral system straddling 3 major trade routes, and one of the few systems the Thalrexians hadn't yet bullied into submission. They wouldn't dare now, not openly, but they would try something. That much was certain. The Virion Summit convened in the glass-petal towers of Isenvale, a city suspended in a polar aurora. Delegates from 50 worlds came, a mix of curiosity, fear, and hope. Elia addressed them with the same calm steel she had shown in the council. Earth does not seek to replace the Thalrexians as a new overlord, she said. We offer you this: trade without coercion, defense without domination, partnership without strings. Skeptical murmurs followed. But then, footage played again, the now famous clip of her standing tall after the slap, the image that had rippled through every corner of the galaxy. One by one, hands raised in agreement. Not allegiance, not obedience, solidarity. But in the shadows beyond Virion's orbit, a different scene unfolded. A Thalrexian stealth cruiser, cloaked in reflective null tech, hovered near the dark side of the system's smallest moon. Inside, 3 figures stood over a holomap. She is building something, hissed one commander. And we allowed it. We underestimated their females, growled another. She is not just a female, said the captain. She is a symbol, and symbols must be broken. They activated a subspace scrambler. A pulse fired, brief, undetectable, toward Virion's relay hub. A digital worm. A virus. The first of many attacks to come. Back on Virion Prime, Elia stared out at the horizon as the auroras danced. The stars above twinkled with hidden watchers. But her gaze didn't waver. Let them come, she whispered. They struck me thinking it would end a problem. They didn't realize they created a leader. She touched the bruised metal on her sash, the one awarded by the Council for diplomatic valor. Her fingers traced it once. Then she turned, cloak swirling, and walked into the rising dawn.